Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today, I'm a little bit jealous. My guest comes to me from the beautiful country of Portugal. He is the CEO of GAIMIN. His name is Nokkvi Dan Ellidason. I'm sure I messed that up.
That's pretty
Okay.
good.
Okay, great. Well, Nokkvi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleased to be here. And thank you for tuning in to everyone on the Crypto Hipster podcast.
Awesome. Looking forward to speaking with you today. And let's kick things off. Let me ask you first, what's your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Yeah. So my background, I can go a little bit into myself. I'm from Iceland originally, from a small island outside of Iceland, only 4,000 people. It's always fun to mention that stat and then come to such an esteemed podcast like this, which probably has more than 4,000 listeners. So that's funny. That's more than my hometown population. But in terms of my professional background, it's rooted in mathematics, statistics, and data science. I hold a bachelor degree in applied mathematics and a master's in statistics and data science from Yale University. Professionally, my experience has been kind of a little bit all over the place, software engineering, data analytics, and then more specifically AI machine learning, which is what my focus was in my graduate studies in the States, where I know you, Jamil, live right now in Connecticut. So maybe it doesn't seem like a logical path to then go to a gaming company. We're most esteemed for our B2C solution in gaming and with Gaming Gladiators, which is one of the biggest esports organization in the world, which is a part of our umbrella. But it is, in fact, the expertise needed to do what we intend to do, because GAIMIN is not just a gaming platform. It's an ecosystem that we have a B2C solution, and then we have a B2B solution, which is a cloud solution. So my role kind of involves help guiding the overall strategy for our distributed system and decentralized technology, more specifically by using my knowledge of data structure and data science. So I look forward to get more into that as we go further into this conversation.
Yeah, awesome. We had our rehearsal dinner for our wedding back in New Haven in 2008. It was
Yeah.
Union League Cafe. It was really good.
Nice. All the way
Yeah,
downtown.
all the way downtown. And so, but I do want to find out a lot more about GAIMIN. What's it all about, and how you're building the future of cloud computing. And also, I want to find out the status of the gaming esports. So both those questions.
Yeah, awesome. Where do you want me to start? Do you want to start on the gamers, or do you want to start on the cloud side?
Let's start on the gamers. Let's start on GAIMIN and the gamers first.
Okay, so the initial idea behind GAIMIN started when Satya Nadella went to the Davos conference and said in 2018 that the world is running out of compute power. And we're definitely seeing that crystallized now with the AI demand for compute power. And one of the founders of GAIMIN back in 2018 looked at his son, who had a massive gaming computer at home. And Satya Nadella said that everyone essentially even with a smartphone or these big PC towers has a supercomputer at home. So he thought to himself, well, if it's a supercomputer, why can't you just connect all the supercomputers and build a massive distributed data center? So the idea was to build a game launcher that aggregates that computational power and then sell that to businesses. So we have a game launcher that is kind of an all-in-one gaming platform, where you can connect all your Steam accounts or Epic account and stuff like that, play your favorite games, and you get rewarded from that in a native utility token called GMRX, where you can then use that to get some benefits within the ecosystem, or the beautiful thing about blockchain technology, or you can leave whenever you want. So how can you get worldwide coverage through a gaming launcher? It's quite difficult because you're competing with the best of the best. You're competing with Steam and Epic and so on. But then they had a crazy idea to start an esports organization, because esports were kind of on the rise around 2020, around COVID. And through hard work and frankly sheer luck as well, it became one of the most esteemed and well-recognized esports organizations in the world, called GAIMIN Gladiators. Won almost everything for 3 years in a row in Dota 2, which is one of the biggest games in the world, and then had esteemed players in FIFA, EA FC called right now, and CS, Tekken, Street Fighter, so on. So we use GAIMIN Gladiators as a brand amplifier for gaming to get worldwide coverage through the gaming launcher. And then for that aggregated compute power, we are actually, this is a fun time to have this conversation. We're going to market with a complete new solution, enterprise ready, and we just got the green light for the name. So that's going to be quite a fun journey now in the next 3 months to get that out. And the business model for us is, it's a distributed system, and our cloud solution can't just be a distributed system, because what's the benefit of that for the user? They just want to use a cloud solution. So that's where we bring in my expertise and some of the world expertise that we have internally to build an intelligent self-managing platform that turns this global compute and storage into a single on-demand utility. What does that mean? We're trying to make the life for a system administrator or a DevOps as easy as possible, because as these people who work in these jobs, DevOps or system administrators, will tell you, it's quite complex to operate a cloud solution. So we're trying to get the upper hand there, make the utility more user-friendly, as we see more vibe coders and solopreneurs and stuff like that. We want them to go to market as fast as possible with a new version of the cloud, what we coin Cloud 2.0. So it's not essentially, we're not essentially trying to overpower the the big players, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. We're never going to be there, but more build a utility that complements that cloud solution that enterprises need and want from them.
That makes a lot of sense. The common myth, and I guess you proved it wrong, was that once COVID hit, esports and live arenas were done forever, right? So the current state is they're coming. They've come back already, or they're still in the process of coming back.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be in esports. There's a lot of unknown variables. It's really rapidly growing market. You can see that Saudi, with their 2030 initiative, is putting a lot of focus on esports, because they have a lot of young demographic of gamers in the Middle East, and they've helped take the industry to the next level. And we're really lucky to be a partner with EWC, Esports World Cup Foundation, which we've now participated twice in the last 2 years.
Awesome. So you're focusing on the future of cloud computing, and an area in crypto that not too many, in blockchain, not too many people really understand, because lots of avenues to go down, is DePIN, centralized, private infrastructure networks, right? How is your approach different than from centralized systems and even other DePIN Web3 networks?
Yeah, so our differentiation is both, I guess, fundamental and strategic. focusing on solving the core problems of our users, which are DevOps and developers and system administrators. They have, in many businesses, seen that the cloud bill is just increasing exponentially with more cloud usage. And also the complexity is rising through the roof. Centralized provider like AWS and Google Cloud and Azure, they sell complex regional building blocks. This is the cloud solution that was built 20 years ago, when companies moved from having on-prem servers to these new cloud. Or what's the cloud? Well, it's just someone else's computer, someone else is managing it for you. And it's understandable how the business model for them works, because they have to build out these massive data centers. So they have to put in all the capital expenses and the maintenance and the risk behind that. And by doing so, they kind of lock you into their system. And this is why they have more than 60% of the market, these three players. And we look at this as a tax on innovation, because it kind of stifles you and restricts you if you want to make fast moves. And now with AI, we're seeing businesses really looking at the cloud bill rising through the roof, the complexity rising through the roof, needing special expertise in-house to have these cloud providers. And it's hard to pivot. And then you get a new solution like AI on the market that completely changes everything. And you get these two big companies that can't pivot or move, or even small indie game developers that can't move because they're kind of locked into the credits at AWS, or they have an expertise at Azure. And we look at this as a tax on innovation, penalizing you with usage fees. And the most known usage fees is egress fees. So we're different in a way that we're just approaching this very differently. We don't have any of this capital expenditure. We don't have to buy any servers, because that's our users through the game launcher that we reward through our native utility token. And then we are doing everything to make the life for the DevOps and the system administrators as pleasant as possible. They shouldn't have to manage whether they want their files stored in US East in Virginia or US West in Seattle. They shouldn't have to. They should just say, hey, I want my storage to be available to my users. That should be kind of the evolution now that we have this decentralized worldwide systems, which is the beauty of it all. And that, of course, having worldwide coverage can, it's a lot of complexity behind it. And this is why we hire such top tier engineers to help us out on this journey, and have a very esteemed advisory board. And then the difference for us in terms of the DPINs that you talked about. And it's probably best to name also a couple of DPINs like Filecoin or Akash, or Render is one of the OGs, you would say. And many of these networks are, Render is an exception there, but many of these networks are built off the philosophy that decentralized systems are the next evolution. And they are built on the philosophy and gain a lot of traction, but they're not built for enterprises, because enterprises just need SLAs, the 5 nines, and simple APIs and accountability, which some of these decentralized networks weren't thinking about 10 years ago when they were kind of rolling out their solutions. So that's where we differentiate a little bit. We're not for the masses, a B2C solution. We're focusing specifically on enterprises and making sure that we're compatible with, for example, the S3 buckets and all of that technical jargon that some people might find interesting, but let's leave that to the side for now. So I hope that kind of answers your questions. We're trying to be in that beautiful in-between place where we take the philosophy of the DPINs and the idea and the struggles that the users of the enterprises are facing, and solving that together in a cloud 2.0 way.
Great. Yeah, there are a lot of struggles and things that people just don't understand, about DPIN right now. Like, I have a deep end holding. It's one of the early ones.
Yeah.
Price not go up yet. So
Yeah.
maybe someday. But you mentioned, and I know your area is data science and databases, and and um, we had a outage. I think. Well, I had a couple of problems yesterday. I tried to access one of my folders on my computer, and I couldn't because OneDrive was down. Microsoft OneDrive was down for a little bit, and then like a couple weeks ago, we had a AWS outage that affected a lot of people. So how can distributed cloud infrastructures help prevent global outages like the one that we saw with AWS, like yesterday with Microsoft, like other big players? How can you prevent that, and then how can we ensure that you're not going to face the same problem?
Yeah, you've kind of hit on the core flaw of the centralized cloud solutions. These massive outages happen because it's a centralized point of failure. If US East goes down, if I don't know, the power plant goes off, or the someone messed up the configuration for the servers or anything like that, like everything goes down because it's just from this one location. So when a core service fails like that, the clients face this. What you face? The OneDrive goes down. Oh, our service isn't online. We can't do anything right now because, well, we're fully reliant on US East AWS servers. But a globally distributed infrastructure, by its very nature, doesn't have this vulnerability because it doesn't have this single point of failure, this worldwide coverage. You just take it from the nearest point. Of course, that has a lot of complexities, and this is why the DeepIn is kind of slow to go to market, because it's a new solution that no one has been able to figure out how to do effectively to solve this problem. But it needs to be autonomous and autonomic. So what does that mean? It needs to be self-healing. So you maybe have, let's take, for example, 1,000 computers in Connecticut and 1,000 computers in Rhode Island, which is next door. Let's say Connecticut goes down and you're operating on your decentralized OneDrive. Then your access to the servers just go to Rhode Island, which is the nearest point. Where this is very useful is, for example, last year here in Portugal, we had a massive electricity outage in Portugal, Spain, the whole Iberia, France, Belgium, everything went down. It was complete chaos, but our system didn't, because our routing system just went to Morocco and the UK and the Middle East, which didn't have these problems, because it's self-healing, it's self-managing. So it just picks up from the nearest location. So while the system goes down for centralized failures, ours doesn't. It might have some latency problems. Oh, I'm trying to access my file and it's taking 10 seconds instead of 2 seconds to download. But this is the future of cloud solutions. And you've even seen people like Musk talk about this, with being able to use maybe the small computers or the big computers in Teslas, because they're online and they're talking to the Starlink satellites and stuff like that. So you could potentially play a game there with, this could be a cloud solution that we can provide to our users, which is very exciting and speaks to the problem that we're trying to solve, that we have some of the smartest people in the world trying to solve this, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I know. I looked at some of the people, the co-founders, and some of the people I have in your team. I was like, these people are really smart and talented, and so yeah, I was impressed. So
yeah, we've done exceptionally well at attracting top tier talent, and then we also do a lot to retain them. We, for example, have a very esteemed advisory board. One of the most well-known names there is Steve Cadigan, who was one of the first. He was the first chief HR officer at LinkedIn. and he's focusing on how we can make the culture at GAIMIN, all the companies that we have under our umbrella, as good as possible, because we're solving one of the biggest problems in the world. So it needs to be more than just, oh, you clock into work 9 to 5 and then you don't think about it. It needs to be engaging, and empathy needs to be shown to the problems that we're trying to solve, and so on. So we're trying to do everything to keep our top tier talent within GAIMIN, because they're getting a lot of interest from elsewhere.
I would believe that. But you said something interesting. I don't hear too much. You just said that interestingly. You said empathy. A lot of people don't think of empathy in their conversations about blockchain and crypto, right?
Yeah.
So how is empathy playing a role with you?
Yeah. So in blockchain and crypto, the philosophy behind how the Bitcoin network was created is kind of built on distrust, and that's why you have all these pseudonames and kind of keyboard warriors typing nasty stuff online. So we're in this vertical, and we need to ensure that our team, our users, our clients don't get affected by that. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that this is probably always going to be inherently there, because of the decentralized technology. You can be autonomic and go by pseudonyms and so on, which is beautiful. That's the reason for the technology. It's what got us here. But we also need to recognize the fact that if we're going to take this to the next level, we need to show empathy to the problems that we're trying to solve, and to the people that are trying to solve it.
Yeah, I've seen far too many people say, "Hey, we built the solution. You need to implement it. Your current solution sucks." And they're like, people are like, "Well, you spent all our career building the solution."
Yeah.
So I understand why it's important. So
yeah, Rome wasn't built in one day, like they say. So
yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I saw this on a blog post. I don't understand it, but I want to find out more. ISO 27001. What is that certification all about, and how is that enabling you to set a new benchmark in the industry?
Yeah, so this is where we're taking maybe a little bit different approach to how the other players in the DePIN market have gone about it. We all go by our own names. We show face everywhere we go. We're ISO certified, and we're also SOC 2 certified. And these are the two badges of honor that you need to have if you're going to be servicing your solution to enterprise clients. It's just a prerequisite for everything there. So if I start with the ISO 27001, it's an international standard for information security management systems. It's called ISMS. And it's a rigorous framework for establishing, implementing, and improving security controls for all corporate data. So what does that mean? So there are no data breaches for our users, and so on. And in addition to that, we have the SOC 2 certification as well, which is also an auditing procedure, and is related to trust service criteria. So security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy of the customer data. So these are the two badges of honor that you absolutely need to have if you're going to be servicing governments or enterprise clients, and should be the first thing that CISO officers look at. CISO is a security officer within a technical security officer within a big company, and it just builds the trust needed with our clients and users, and validates the model that we're trying to do is certified. So they just look at the badge and say, oh, okay, someone has audited the system and it's secure to play with and use. And we look at it from the one side of competing with or playing against the big boys. We look at it as just another thing. This is just something that we do. This is what every B2B solution has to do. But on the other hand, we're also in this decentralized market where it sets a new benchmark to have these badges of honors within that vertical. So that's where we play in this beautiful middle ground of enterprise, but also decentralized technology, which is very fun.
Got it. All right, so that sounds good. So we're focusing on security. You're focusing on the infrastructure. Costs. So today, cloud costs, I believe they're much higher than they've ever been before, and maybe at a crisis level, right? Why have the cloud costs like catapulted to like a near crisis level, and what can be done about them? Because I'm sure you're going to need those costs to be lower going and to be sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with why it's understandable that it's risen so high in the last couple of years with more demand for computational power. Businesses need to profit in some shape or form to keep their team members, to maintain, to upgrade, and so on. And if you are 20 years ago, you need to be a cloud provider like Amazon or Google, and so on. They need to build out these massive data centers. So what they did is they poured, like I think all of them this year poured around 100 billion each into building new data centers. And well, that money needs to come from their customers at some point. So it's a delayed fee that they pass on to their users, just as if a grocery store, their tomatoes are getting more expensive because they need to source it from a location far away. Well, they just have to pass that on to the anyone buying the tomatoes in the supermarket. So that's understandably happening right now with just more demand for computational power. So it's just it's a typical supply and demand problem in economics. So what can be done to combat this problem and, let's say, democratize access to cloud solutions and AI and so on? You can compete in pricing. I don't think that is the right way to go about it because, for example, AWS and Google, they give out all these credits to lock in their users. So you need to have some kind of benefit to your users that isn't just on pricing, because the big players can do a lot more about pricing than you can do as a small business like us. So where we're going about this is we are a single line item cloud for our product. So what does that mean for storage, for example? It's easiest to explain that. Storage is you store a file somewhere, but usually you pay for putting that file in storage, and you also pay for any transit out of that storage. So for example, the OneDrive, you upload it, and then each download from your users, it's an egress fee. So it's a usage fees. So let's think about a game developer. They upload their game, and then they blow up on TikTok, and they get 1 million downloads in one day. What does that mean? Cost goes through the roof. They weren't ready for it because they hadn't figured out their business model. So what we do at our new cloud solution, I'm very excited to say the name. What we do is we're a single line item cloud. So for storage, we will only charge for storage. So there's no usage fees because we don't have any capital expenses for that usage fees. So we're not going to pass on any usage fees to our users of the cloud solution. We're a single line item. You pay for storage. If it's a terabyte, you pay for that terabyte. If you need to download it 1 billion times, it's our job to make that happen. That this is the service that we're providing you. So you need to be clever in a way like that to play against the big boys, but also carve out a niche in the market.
So are you ready? Are you ready to say the name, or you got to wait?
I unfortunately, I think my legal and compliance officer would tell me to wait a little bit.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll have you back on in a half a year.
Yeah, sounds good.
Second time. You said tomatoes. You know, one of my favorite economic indicators was, during a recession or a pullback in the market, the sales of ketchup go up and the price of tomatoes come down. Well,
Ah,
you just
interesting.
yeah, what you just said it goes against that. You know, I mean, so it's a new dynamic now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what's causing the dynamic, but yeah, the staples good. The staple sales, increase. So um,
Yeah.
and and we're going to be at a point where cloud services is going to become a staple, right?
Yeah, it's looking at the numbers, the cloud industry, which AWS, Google, and Microsoft own more than 60% of, it's increasing by a compounded annual growth rate of 25% over the next 5 years. So it's going from, I think it's about $700 billion to around 2.3 trillion by 2030. So it's carving out a niche for $1.3 trillion a year there. And one of the fascinating stats, and understandably so, but it just puts it in context, is 96% of businesses in the world use cloud solutions in some shape or form. Now, of course, we all operate online. We need to do banking and stuff like that. So of course we use cloud solutions, but I don't think we're gonna go in the right direction if these three players have such a strong hold on the market. So I hope to see more players. For example, Oracle has been doing pretty well, and then the decentralized clouds and more players come into the market and kind of even the grounds out to drive the solutions in the right way for developers and businesses alike.
Awesome. I agree. It's all fascinating to me. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. I enjoyed speaking with you. And I have one last question. It's how can people find out more information about you, about GAIMIN? How can they keep up to date on what you're up to?
Yeah, so we're on across all social media. If you're a gamer, I think Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Telegram, we're active there. We have a pretty engaging and fun community managers for each of these social platforms. For myself, I write a lot on Substack and LinkedIn, so feel free to follow me there. And then I think if you want to stay updated on GAIMIN and, for example, the naming that will be coming out soon, the newsletters are pretty handy, even though I think Gen Z is not a big newsletter generation, but that's where I find most relevant and useful information for myself. Thank you so much, Jamil, for hosting this. I hope to come on again shortly with a new name on board.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Cheers.